Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and for the last 7 days, I've been driving the 2025 Nissan Frontier SL four-wheel drive. Up front is a 3.8-liter V6, and down below is a 9-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be making this video because I've spent the last week and over 800 miles, almost 900 miles, driving this Nissan Frontier. I actually was able to take it up to the outskirts of Detroit for other Nissan videos that you've already seen on the channel, like the Murano and the all-new Armada, and this is how I got up to those videos. So I have tons of experience behind the wheel, and I'm excited to share all of it with you today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you would like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month, as well as you'll find exclusive audio content. But let's get back to that V6 under the hood. Well, the Frontier almost stands alone. In this segment, there is only one other pickup truck that doesn't have a turbocharger, and that would be the Jeep Gladiator. The Toyota Tacoma has gone 4-cylinder turbo or 4-cylinder turbo hybrid. The Ford Ranger is a 4-cylinder turbo. This is a naturally aspirated V6, and I think that's one of the biggest selling points for this truck. You're not relying on turbos, you don't have to worry about forced induction, this engine isn't straining itself or overworking itself like some of the 4-cylinders tend to be. And I really like that. That is a big drawing force for me personally to this truck. However, there is a downside. Fuel economy. The highest number I saw was 20 miles to the gallon, not 20.1, not 20.5, not 20.8, 20 miles to the gallon. So I've filled up this truck 4 times since I've had it, and it is not a cheap fill-up. However, that is the trade-off for not having a smaller displacement turbo. Even on the highway, it's using all 6 of those cylinders, and that takes up a lot of fuel. But you do have the confidence of not having a turbocharger, so again, it's going to be a personal preference. Like I said, paired to it is a 9-speed automatic. It's been doing the job well. It's not bad. No complaints. And last but not least, it is 4-wheel drive. However, you can find the Frontier in 2-wheel drive if that's something you'd like to select. How does it feel to drive the Nissan Frontier? Well, it drives like a truck, unsurprisingly. The 2 downsides are the steering and the ride quality. Ride quality isn't great, but that's just kind of a truck thing. I drove it 5 hours each way to the outskirts of Detroit, and it was a kind of bumpy ride. To be expected. What isn't to be expected is the awful steering ratio. I just washed this truck in 9-degree weather, but I just washed this truck for the video, so it wasn't caked in salt like it has been. And I had to do a 3-point turn to get into the car wash. There have been several instances where I've had to do 3-point turns where regular vehicles wouldn't have to. So that has been a downside. But besides that, visibility's been good. Throttle response has been good. I like the V6. I enjoy the 9-speed. And overall, it's a good driving experience, just pretty trucky. Okay, look at this. This is an empty parking lot, and I need to utilize every square inch of it just to do a U-turn. Now, this isn't a new problem either. I drove a mid-2000s Pathfinder and had the same issue. The previous generation of the Frontier had this issue. It's whatever rack or steering mechanism or whatever it is that they've been using for years has this problem. So it's not new. Even if you buy the older Frontier, it's actually worse in my opinion. So this is an upgrade over, well, the bottom of the barrel. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a mix of physical and digital gauges. So I have gauges for my tachometer and coolant temperature, as well as speedometer and fuel, but then I get a digital screen in the center that I can switch around to show different information. I like this. It's not the most modern feeling, but again, Nissan isn't trying to wow anyone with their truck. They're just trying to make a good, solid pickup, and the gauge cluster reflects that. On the steering steering wheel. On the left, we have our source, skip track, selector, volume, and voice commands. You would think that the enter button would be for the gauge cluster. It's actually for skip track. And the one down below that you would think would be for skip track is actually for the gauge cluster. Kind of a weird switcheroo. Off to the right, we have our adaptive cruise control. This does have lane keep assist and things like that on the highway. It was fantastic. Off to the left, we have a climate control vent. We have our tow mode button as well as our gauge dimmer switches. And then we have a bunch of buttons for our safety features, our wall outlet, we'll talk about in the back seat, cargo lamp, hill descent control, and traction control off. Moving on to the door, we have power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving up into the center, we do get a little tray up at the top. This was nice for my sunglasses over the last week, or just items that I wanted to get out of the middle for a little bit. And we have our infotainment system. This does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It's relatively responsive. I've liked it. I've enjoyed it. It works pretty well. And this is Nissan's standard system that you'll see in a lot of their other vehicles. Now, it does pipe the sound from that wireless Apple CarPlay through the Fender sound system. And although it's not as good as the
Glitch
sound system in the Armada, it's still a really good system. The bass was really nice. And in this segment, it's one of the best stereos I've heard between the Ranger, Tacoma, and Gladiator. We do have a 360 camera as well. I just used it going through the car wash, which makes lining up the wheels super easy, and just parking it has been a lot easier with this 360 camera. Down below that, we do have some physical buttons for our hazard switch, volume, tune and scroll, as well as menu, audio, map, brightness, and our camera button, again, to toggle it. Really, really nice to see that. And then we have Frontier in size 1000 font, in case you forgot what you were driving. My girlfriend looked at this and said, I know what it is, I don't need to be told, and I have a similar feeling. Down below that, we have our climate controls, dual zone climate, as well as fan speed, auto, things like that. Nothing really groundbreaking here, but it's been nice. And off to the right, we have a 12-volt outlet, and off to the left, we have our four-wheel drive. We have 4 high as well as 4 low. And this really came in handy because the outskirts of Detroit are unlike any other big city suburbs where you'll just be driving and then randomly a neighborhood will just be dirt roads. And then you turn a corner and it's perfectly paved pavement again. I think they just forgot some of the neighborhoods. It's so weird. So I was driving through one in the snow on a dirt road, tossed it into 4 high, gave me so much confidence, felt no slippage, and it was wonderful. Down below that, we get a bunch of physical buttons for our heated seats that will burn you out of the truck if you want them to. Lovely to see that this time of year. We have a heated steering wheel as well as our parking sensors on and off, and we have USB-A and USB-C. Love seeing both of them here together to incorporate as much technology, old and new, as possible. Down below, we do have a little cubby, and the shifter feels like it's out of any other Nissan. Nothing really groundbreaking here. Off to the right, we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test, and it passes. But not only that, I was talking to the Nissan engineers, and they made sure that the door cards also pass the big friggin' bottle test, of which they do. So it is a double pass here for the Nissan Frontier from 2025. Then we do have a wireless charger that works a lot better than Mazda or Toyota's wireless chargers. Not sure why, but they do. The center console and the seats. The seats are leather and they are heated and power as well. And as I've mentioned, I drove this truck many, many miles, almost 900, and I've been comfortable the entire time. I didn't feel like the seats were bad in any way. Now, they weren't massaging me like the Murano or Armada, but I'll take that here in a truck. However, speaking of seats, this is a 4-door pickup. So let's go do a backseat review. Hey, 'tis the season, am I right? All right, so we're in the back of the Nissan Frontier, and my knees are hitting this seat in front of me. My head is very, very close to the ceiling. I do have this little bump, but if I move forward, I hit my head. If I move backward, I hit my head. So I have this very thin margin of where my head fits properly. I do get a center console with 2 cup holders that actually look bigger than the front ones. And it passes the big freaking bottle test as I lose my microphone. Oh. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, folks. I dropped my microphone. We do have a USB-C as well as USB-A down below, and we have that wall outlet that we can control to the left of the steering wheel that we mentioned earlier. So very, very cool to see all of that. But like I said, it's a little bit of a cramped back seat, but you're going to find that across the segment here. Tacoma's the same way, Ranger's the same way, Gladiator probably has the best back seat, but it's the only thing the Gladiator's good at. The Gladiator was cool. You could take the doors off, you could, rattle your fillings out on the highway, save some money on dentistry. Anyway, I'll stop the Gladiator slander because we don't make fun of other brands. Everyone's trying their best here in the automotive world. Let's hop into the back and take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, aka the bed. All right, around the back of the Nissan Frontier, I am speaking in a wind tunnel. Big handle here, and it is actually kind of frozen coming down. What does it say here? Oh, don't fill up gas cans in the bed. Oh, I love that they used the silhouette of a Nissan hardbody. Here's one that I filmed. And cutting back to this, oh, they actually used the side profile of a hardbody. I love that. That's so cool. Anyway, once we are in the back, we do have a rail system and we have an outlet back here. Love to see all of that. But otherwise, besides the rail system and outlet, very simple. There's not an 8-way tailgate that will cook you lunch and dinner and break at the moment the warranty runs out. It's just a tailgate with just some cables. I love that. Simplicity was the big name of the game with the Frontier, and that's very, very clear, and I think that'll be a big advantage as this truck ages. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is finished in Bayside Blue. Now, if you're new to Nissan or not a fan of old Japanese cars, this will just be a really pretty blue. And you're not wrong. This is a very pretty blue. I also drove the Nissan Z Performance in this color and adored it there as well. However, if you are a fan of older Japanese cars, you'll notice that this paint color has been brought back from the R34 Skyline GTR. The one that Paul Walker drove in the 4th Fast and Furious is in this same paint color. So it was really, really cool to see that on the schedule. I was like, ooh, Nissan Frontier, what color, what color? Bayside Blue Metallic, and I love it. It has been wonderful, although every other moment besides this right now, it has been caked in road salt. Another thing I really like is that for 2025, they added these 3 grill slots up at the top of the grill, and this is actually a throwback to the 80s where they did this on the Pathfinder and hardbody pickup. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think, having driven the Nissan Frontier, one of the longest distances out of any of the press cars that I've had, and here are some of the front runners. I like this truck a lot. I think it does a lot of things really well, but before we get on to that, let's get the downsides out of the way. Honestly, steering ratio, not good. I wish it had a better turning circle, just not that of a barge. But honestly, I'm really sitting here trying to think, that's all I can really think of when it comes to glaring downsides of the Frontier. I like the engine and I like the transmission. Okay, downside would be the fuel economy, but people complain about 4-cylinder turbos. And then they complain about naturally aspirated V6s having bad fuel economy. So pick your poison. Apparently no truck maker can ever please its audience. It's one or the other. I digress. I've liked everything about this. This has been a really, really good appliance vehicle. It has gotten me all of the many, many places I've had to go this last week. It's been a good highway truck. It's been a good around town truck. I have hauled things in the bed. It was just doing kind of everything I needed it to do. Now, this truck might lack the personality of the Tacoma Trail Hunter with its noisy snout and brushed brass-looking wheels and LED lights that will blind a child if they stare at it. But that's okay. This truck doesn't need to be flashy. Trucks don't need to be a statement piece. They don't need to wow or kablam their audience. And that's exactly what this truck does well. It's a truck. It's here to be used for purposes, and that's kind of it. If you want a vehicle that is going to wow your friends, well, the Nissan Frontier isn't that, but that's okay. And for that snooty Tacoma Trail Hunter, this is significantly less. It's like 15 grand less or something. I'm not a mathematician. These aren't bad. I mean, the SL is the highest trim level. Now, the Pro 4X starts at I think $100 less, and I think can be spec'd up higher, but that's the off-road trim. Really, you're looking at this truck for sub $50,000. And if you compare that to the Ford Ranger that I drove, well, the numbers start to make sense in terms of the Frontier. I've liked this truck. It's been a good week with it, and it might be my pick for simple, basic trucks from here on out. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Nissan for letting me borrow their Nissan Frontier for the last 7 days and lots of miles. Nissan has been wonderful to work with. I appreciate them also having me up to Detroit to sample some of their newer vehicles. Huge thank you to G. Schmidt for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this truck, and of course, the Midwestern Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.